The Galactic Federation had existed for 12,000 years, spanning 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. They had seen civilizations rise and fall, had incorporated thousands of species into their ranks, and had established what they believed to be the perfect system of governance. Then they encountered Earth. Admiral Voss stared at the holographic display showing the remains of the Federation's 7th Fleet. What had once been the pride of their armada was now little more than debris, drifting through the void. 300 warships destroyed in less than an hour. How? He whispered, his 4 eyes blinking in disbelief. They were supposed to be primitives. Lieutenant Reed, his human liaison, stood at attention nearby. The corners of her mouth twitched, slightly. "We tried to warn you," she said simply. 6 years earlier, the Federation had discovered Earth, a blue-green world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. Initial scans revealed a young species barely into their space age, with technology centuries behind Federation standards. The High Council had immediately dispatched an envoy to offer them the gift of protectorate status, the same approach they had used with countless other developing worlds. The humans had listened politely to the Federation's terms. Surrender 40% of their planet's resources, accept Federation oversight of all technological development, and provide troops for the Federation's peacekeeping forces. Then, to the shock of the envoy, they had declined. "No civilization has ever refused membership," Ambassador Drell had reported back, his tentacles quivering with indignation. They must be shown their place. And so began what would later be called the miscalculation. First came the economic sanctions. Earth responded by developing alternative trade routes with non-Federation worlds. Next came the military blockade. Earth built stealth ships that slipped through undetected. Finally, the Federation seized human colonies on Mars and Europa. That was when Earth stopped playing nice. "Your leadership fundamentally misunderstood human history," Reed explained as Admiral Voss continued to stare at the holographic wreckage. "Our entire civilization was forged through conflict. While you spent millennia in peaceful expansion, we spent that same time fighting each other. The first strike had come without warning. A Federation outpost on Ganymede simply vanished, the entire moon cracking apart from what humans called a relatively small antimatter device. When the Federation sent ships to investigate, they discovered too late that the debris field had been seeded with quantum mines. You assumed because we hadn't weaponized our technology to your level that we couldn't," Reed continued. "But weaponizing technology is what humans do best. We were still calibrating." The Federation had never encountered a species that approached war with such methodical precision. Human ships were smaller but devastatingly agile, their weapons primitive but deployed with uncanny strategic brilliance. They didn't fight to win battles, they fought to win wars. But the most critical error, Reed said, her voice softening slightly, was believing that numerical and technological superiority guaranteed victory. We've been overcoming those odds throughout our entire history. Admiral Voss turned away from the display. "The High Council has authorized me to negotiate terms of Federation surrender," he said, the words clearly painful. "They believe it would fierce preferable to extinction." Reed nodded. "A wise decision. Earth doesn't want to rule the Federation. We just wanted to be left alone." "Then why?" Voss gestured at the destruction displayed before them. "Why such overwhelming force?" Reed's expression hardened. "Because the Federation needed to understand something fundamental about humans. We have a saying on Earth, mess around and find out. You chose to mess around. As the surrender documents were prepared, news spread throughout Federation space. The unthinkable had happened. Their 12,000-year civilization had been brought to its knees in less than 6 years by a species they had dismissed as primitive. On Earth, the President addressed the United Nations. "Today marks the beginning of a new era. The Federation sought to colonize us as they had countless others. Instead, they learned that humanity will not bow, will not surrender, and will not tolerate threats to our sovereignty." The terms were surprisingly lenient. The Federation would withdraw from the Sol system, recognize human independence, establish fair trade agreements, and dismantle their military forces beyond what was needed for basic defense. In return, humans would share some of their technological innovations and help rebuild what had been destroyed, after safeguards were in place. As Admiral Voss signed the document, Lieutenant Reed watched with a mixture of pride and regret. "You could have simply joined us as equals," Voss said quietly. Reed shook her head. "That wasn't what you offered. You wanted servants, not partners. Earth has had enough of masters." 5 years later, the galaxy had changed profoundly. The Federation had reformed into a true cooperative of equal worlds. Earth had taken its place among the stars not as conquerors, but as wary partners. Their military prowess both respected and feared. As for Lieutenant Reed, now Ambassador Reed, she often reflected on the plaque that hung in the new Galactic Assembly. Peace through strength, prosperity through cooperation, and wisdom through humility. Below it in smaller letters was an ancient human warning that the Federation had learned too late. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it.